Welcome to the conversation on TYT. And today we have the treat of talking with Sarah Jaffe. And Sarah's going to join us talking to us about the work she's doing, about the book she's working on right now, which is called Work Won't Love You Back, but also about a phenomenon that has come out of the COVID crisis for working Americans, one that neither she nor you, I'm betting, knew about. And that is about PTO debt. Sarah Jaffe, welcome to the Young Turks.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So, I want to know, and I'm saying this, you always feel disingenuous when you do know the story because you just told it to me, but I do want everyone to know the story about what gave you the idea to write this article and to expose something that many people before this pandemic had no idea about.
Yeah, so I've been doing a series at Dissent Magazine along with my colleague Michelle Chen, talking to people about their experiences of working in pandemic conditions. So I was talking to a Sephora worker who was concerned about reopening. Obviously, a makeup store, there's a lot of reasons to be concerned about health hazards. And she was saying to me that if we take our paid time off and we take more of it than we have earned, right? Then we go into PTO debt. And I was just like, wait a minute here. PTO debt? And she explained to me that, right, you have to sort of earn back the PTO that you've used. And that if you get laid off or quit before your PTO has been earned back, you would actually have to pay it back to the company out of your last paycheck. So
let me interrupt for 1 second. This is on me too. PTO is personal time
paid
off.
Time off.
Paid personal time off. Paid time off.
Right. We should explain a little bit about that because a lot of companies and even some now state and city laws are grouping sick time and vacation time and everything into one big lump, which is paid time off. And so you use it for vacation if you're lucky. If you're sick, then you don't get a vacation because you've used all your sick time. So some of the workers that I spoke to for this piece kind of end up using all of their paid time off for their sickness or maybe their kids or family members that they were responsible for. So this is a sort of whole phenomenon in the way that this country gives people time off.
So then you found out this. It's saying that this is happening with her, which of course means it's not just happening at Sephora.
Right. So I literally just sort of tweeted an offhand thing I just learned about in an interview with a Sephora worker about PTO debt. And I got a ton of responses from people saying, yeah, this happened to me. One of the people who reached out to me because of that tweet is the union staff steward that I spoke to for this piece. Remy Huerta Stemper from AFSCME Local 34 in Minnesota. And she put me in touch with one of her workers who had been trying to negotiate this negative PTO, is what they were calling it there, that was put in place because of the governor of Minnesota's emergency declaration over the pandemic. So this meant that now workers who normally would have had a different situation with PTO, now they get the favor of getting their negative PTO if they need extra sick time, right? During a pandemic, you might need extra sick time.
Right.
Except instead of this just being a thing that we should give people on the understanding that it is a global pandemic and lots of people are going to get sick, and that this virus in particular is holding people, out of work in bad condition for sometimes much longer than 2 weeks, that we should just perhaps give people sick time. Now they are having it, sort of extracted from their paycheck in this way. And so, this is apparently more widespread than I knew. Goes back a few years. In some of these cases, these people that I talked to had been sick or had surgery years ago and had this happen to them. But in this particular moment, obviously, when we're seeing the government, temporarily expand sick time, it's particularly galling to find out that people are going to be indebted to their employers for, having been ill.
Yeah. And it comes at a time, too, where everybody is sort of adjusting to what this new normal is, temporary or not. I mean, even banks, credit card companies saying you don't have to make your payments monthly. We'll give you a break on that, but we're still going to charge you the interest, and that's going to accrue. So there's a similarity in what's going on. Of course, businesses and banks are in the business of collecting interest. So you understand some of that motivation, but you don't understand the personal side of it. You don't understand necessarily either when it comes to these businesses. What's being done now? How is it being addressed?
That's the problem. This seems to be perfectly legal. I spoke to Sherry Leiwert from A Better Balance, which is an organization that fights for sort of work-family policy. And she was saying that one of the things that happened when they started pushing for these paid sick time laws, it was not so long ago that New York City, for instance, passed its paid sick time law. That came in when Bill de Blasio was first elected mayor of New York, after having fought for it under Mayor Bloomberg for quite a long time. And the thing that they put into these bills to make them sort of more palatable was saying it's earned sick time. So you accrue a certain amount of sick time for every amount, every week you work, you accrue a couple hours maybe of sick time that you can use in the future. And again, the problem with that is that sometimes people get sick before they accrue enough time to cover the time off that they need for whatever they might have been sick with. Sometimes people have family emergencies. Sometimes people have babies. And we don't in this country. We're one of the few industrialized countries that has no federal provision for paid sick time.
And so when you go into deficit on your personal time off, what that can create is a bad workplace, because you're going to have somebody who could be sick, who's coming to work because they need to earn back their paid time off, while they could be infecting the office with whatever it is that they have, but they don't want to lose that paid time off. So they're going to get themselves to the office or to the workplace or of whatever it is in order to earn that time back. So it really works against the entire community of workers, no matter how big or small. Isn't that right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, paid sick time is a public health issue. We should have realized that now, if at no time before this, when you're thinking about the people who handle your food, right? Who are the essential workers that have been going to work under this pandemic? They are grocery store workers. They are food service workers. They are the people who are handling the things that you are going to ingest to keep you alive. And if they are going to work with coronavirus or even the common cold or the flu, the odds of you getting that are much higher if they have no ability to say, I'm sick and I should stay home. And now, if you are somebody like one of these workers that I spoke to who had surgery fairly early on into his employment at one company and then had used up all of his PTO and went into negative paid time off, he couldn't use any paid time off until he had earned back what he had spent. So that meant now, if he had the coronavirus, he's stuck with either figuring out, do I go get tested and stay home like the government is advising me to? Or do I just suck it up and go to work because I can't really afford to not, and I've got no paid time off left?
Right. And that's an extreme. I mean, the coronavirus is an extreme. He could have anything and come in and just spread an illness in the office, which is going to cut into productivity at the factory, at the store, wherever that person is. So there is a bankruptcy now. Just what America needs is a new kind of bankruptcy. It's a bankruptcy that we're dealing with. The book that you're working on right now is called Work Won't Love You Back. And this is seeming like it fits right in with this entire conversation, isn't it? That people seeing their work as an other rather than a them. And how, can you explain that and how these two tie in a little bit?
Yeah, so the book I'm writing is about the way that we are expected more and more to find all of our sort of fulfillment and meaning on the job. And for people like you and me, we have jobs that probably do give us some meaning, and that's great. But when I worked in restaurants, which I did for, a good 10 years of my life, I was still expected to go to work with a big smile on my face and as though I had never been more thrilled than to serve you sushi. And sushi's great and all, but being a sushi waitress is not that much fun.
Right.
And so this, when you went to work in a factory, say, you don't have to smile at the machine while you're, stamping dies or whatever it is that you're doing all day, right? You don't have to smile at the car when it comes past you on the assembly line. You go to work, and work might suck and work might be great, but it's work. And then you leave and you go do something else. And now, as those jobs fade or get outsourced, more and more of the jobs that we have in this country are jobs where you have to have some level of emotional investment in that work. And what this sort of paid time off thing fits into that in this way of right, like you're incentivizing people to come to work no matter what. And we're building these structures that actually force people to come to work no matter what, even as we're sort of told that people go to work because they love it and work is meaningful. And this is where we get our sense of purpose in the world. Really, we're going to work because we don't have a lot of choice.
And that's pretty clear, especially now when you see people that don't have work that they can go to in so many numbers of how necessary. I mean, if we go back to Necessary Trouble, that's your first book, and I stumbled upon it by accident there. But there is something necessary about about going to work because it puts food on the table. It does give you that purpose, and now people are finding they don't even have work to go to, and the work when they get there is doing things like putting them into negative personal time off, but paid time off, and I think that that's an important distinction to make about how you are valued by your work as much as how you value work itself.
Right. Yeah. When you think about the way that the coronavirus has sort of made things that the Sephora worker, in fact, that said this to me in the beginning, said to me, this was an all right job before. It wasn't a great job, but it was a fine job. But suddenly, in a moment when you might get a horrible illness from going to that fine job, it's no longer a fine job. And it's sort of tearing off the veil of, likable work and showing us that really underneath it all, I mean, we go to work because we have to, because that's how we pay the bills in this country. And because, the landlord wants the rent and the grocery store doesn't take smiles as payment.
2020 has been a year of tearing off many veils. Sarah Jaffe, thank you for writing that piece. We look forward to Work Won't Love You Back, your forthcoming book. Is there a release date yet, or is it just a work in progress?
No, it will be out in January of 2021. All things working the way they should.
Here's hoping that you can tour that book and go visit lots of bookshops at that point. Sarah Jaffe, thanks again for being on the conversation on TYT.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching this free clip of the Young Turks. Don't forget to become a TYT member today. For more exclusive content, join now at tyt.com/join.